Friedkin asked her if she knew what the movie was about. And she told him, yeah, I read the book. A 12-year-old read the book, The Exorcist. And she said it's about a little girl who gets possessed by the devil and does a whole bunch of bad things. And then can ask her, well, what do you mean? Well, she pushes a man out of her bedroom window and she hits her mother across the face and she masturbates with a crucifix.
Welcome to the Opening Kill podcast.
Before we begin, a quick warning. Opening Kill is a horror podcast that contains adult language, disturbing themes, and graphic descriptions of violent acts, especially the kills featured in each film. We also dive deep into plot details and character arcs. So if you haven't seen the movie we're covering, expect full spoilers ahead. Listener discretion is strongly advised.
Opening Kill, the horror podcast that slices deep into the genre we love. We're talking slashers, supernatural nightmares, creature features, and everything in between. Every episode, we break down a different horror film. From its killer cold open to its blood-soaked finale, we track the body count, analyze the scares, and give credit where it's gruesomely due. From iconic franchises to hidden gems, you'll find them all here. Hosted by filmmaker and horror scholar Brian O'Connor and Michael Duran, lifelong genre fan and scream scene specialist. So sharpen your knives, turn off the lights, and let's get into it. This is Opening Kill.
And welcome to episode 49 of Opening Kill. I'm Brian O'Connor, and sitting in for Michael Duran this week, our good friend, researcher, Shay Astor. Hello, Shay.
Hello, hello. Good to see you again. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Did you do anything fun and exciting over the holidays?
Yes, I stayed home and
good for you.
Watched a bunch of really great movies. I did catch up on Stranger Things. That was my big watch.
So here's my thing with Stranger Things. It took them, obviously there were a lot of factors, took them forever to get season 5 out. So much time has passed. I have now gone back to the very beginning and I'm rewatching and I'm binging. Thank God the seasons are fairly short, but I am going through now and rewatching all the episodes so I can enjoy season 5 and know what the hell is going on.
You know, as someone who did kind of similarly, I realized season 5 was coming out, so I'm like, okay, I have to remember everything that has gone on. And I rewatched, and I was definitely kind of part of the conspiracy group of, oh man, this isn't how they're going to end it. Finally watching season 5, and I went, you're kidding, right? This is it? I'm not going to spoil anything, but it was not what I was expecting. So
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
how about
I'm
you?
looking. Well, you know, I watched, started watching Stranger Things, caught up on some horror movies, and I have to admit, I have a guilty little pleasure here. I have discovered the Twisted Childhood universe, and so so I watched Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. Now, I know a lot of people do not like this. Controversy, first of all, because they took a childhood icon in Winnie the Pooh and turned him into this bloody serial killer. And the movie just got horrible reviews. Audiences were not kind to it, although it did make its money back. Quite a bit back. I think they made it for something like $80,000. I believe they shot it in 10 days and then it made almost $8 million. So it did really well, but I have to admit, I liked it.
Oh, Brian.
It was gory. There were some kills in it that I'm like, oh my God, no wonder, people, especially adults who grew up with Winnie the Pooh as kids would be upset by this concept. So
I'm a huge Winnie the Pooh fan. I collect actual anything. For Christmas, I actually got half horror things and half Winnie the Pooh things.
Okay.
So I kind of have been on the train of I refuse to watch it because I'm afraid, A, that I'll hate it, or B, that I'll love it. I don't know.
I don't know how you would react to it. I just know, I mean, I went into it knowing that it was disliked by a lot of people and
Right.
mostly all critics, and which intrigues me more. When you hear something is so bad, you want to see it to see if it is. And I don't know, I'm kind of weird this way about movies. I actually really enjoyed it. I didn't give it a 5-star rating, but I
Okay.
did give it a decent rating, and I cannot wait to watch the other ones now. So I'm on my way.
Very true. Isn't there a new one coming out soon? So I
That
think
is going to be my scare preview coming up here
Oh,
later
well,
in the
sorry.
show,
I
too.
didn't mean to spoil it.
No spoiler alert, but we'll tell you about that one. But yeah, there will be a total of 5 films. You know, you've got the Popeye movie, you've got another one of the Winnie the Pooh. There was a sequel, and then Pinocchio is coming out, and then so there's a bunch of them. So I can't wait to see how these do. And you know, the
All
sequel's got
right,
more money
fine.
because the original one made money. So now,
Yeah.
you know, we'll be able to see even better effects, which I
Okay,
didn't think
I'll
they were that
watch
bad
it.
in this one.
Jesus. Okay, I'll watch it. Fine.
I can't wait to catch up with you, you know, after you watch it and get your take on it. So, yeah,
We might need to do a mini podcast on that one.
we might, we might. Well, let's get into this week's film. It's an iconic horror film. Not a lot of kills in it, and it's a very slow film, but it's an incredible film. It is 1973's The Exorcist. It was directed by William Friedkin, who sadly passed away just a couple of years ago. It was written by William Peter Blatty, which was based on his novel that he wrote of the same name. The movie was released the day after Christmas in 1973. It runs 122 minutes. It's rated R. And even though it's set in Washington, D.C., it was primarily shot in New York City. The opening scene was shot in Mosul, Iraq, which we will talk about here in a little bit because there's some interesting trivia around that. It stars Ellen Burstyn. Max von Sydow was also in it. Jason Miller and Linda Blair. 12-year-old Linda Blair got her break in this film. And there were a lot of directors that were offered the job that turned it down because they did not think a young actress could carry this type of a film. Mike Nichols was actually one of them. And he later admitted that it was a huge, huge mistake on his part. And that if he had known, I mean, you can say that about anything. If you'd only known what it was going to happen, you know, he would have taken that role. Denise Nickerson, you might know her from Violet Beauregard in the original Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. She was considered for the role, but her family did not approve of the film. Janet Leigh would not let her daughter, future Scream Queen Jamie Lee Curtis, audition for the very same reason, which is ironic because it was only a few years later that Jamie Lee Curtis really lifted the horror genre up into the sky with Halloween. So it's very interesting.
Boy, were they wrong. A kid could definitely.
Oh, yeah.
And Linda Blair, of course, handled this very interestingly, watching it all. A 12-year-old. Could you imagine?
I know. It's pretty crazy. And during her audition, Friedkin asked her if she knew what the movie was about. And she told him, yeah, I read the book. A 12-year-old read the book, The Exorcist. And she said, it's about a little girl who gets possessed by the devil and does a whole bunch of bad things. And then Friedkin asked her, well, what do you mean? Well, she pushes a man out of her bedroom window and she hits her mother across the face and she masturbates with a crucifix. It's like, whoa, 12 years old. My goodness. Friedkin then asked her if she knew what masturbation meant, and her response is, quote, it's like jerking off, isn't it? And she giggled. And he said, have you ever done that? And she said, sure, haven't you?
I could never at 12 years old. Oh,
and then she laughed about it.
My brain wasn't thinking about that. Yeah.
No. So yeah, she got the role.
Duh.
They made the movie for $12 million. To date, it has made $441 million. Its tagline, something beyond comprehension is happening to a little girl on this street in this house. and a man has been sent for her as a last resort. That is what is on the movie poster. And if you've not seen The Exorcist, it's about a young girl in Georgetown, begins exhibiting disturbing and violent behavior with no medical explanation. Her mother turns to the Catholic Church for help. Two priests, one haunted by doubt, the other by past experience, confront a powerful demonic force in a battle of faith, sacrifice, and evil. So that's it in a nutshell.
Oh, but it's
And
so much more than that too.
it really is. And, we were talking earlier before we started the podcast about how the movie is pretty slow for the most part. It's not your typical horror film. It's not fast paced at all. This was a movie, though, that kind of elevated this genre, and a lot of controversy about it because of, well, the 12-year-old actress saying and doing some of the things that she does in this. Plus, it was released the day after Christmas and everything else. So, but it went on to just become this iconic film.
Iconic, setting a lot of the rules for horror ever since then. And so many people reference it to this day, not only the many, many Exorcist movies that have been made, but I do think, although it's a little slow, you gotta see it, especially if you love horror movies. You gotta watch this one. So if you haven't, do it now, come back, we'll talk about it.
That's right, because we're about to give it all away here. It opens in northern Iraq. There's a priest, an archaeologist by the name of Lancaster Marin, and he is at a dig site at the ruins of Hatra, and he uncovers this stone talisman depicting a winged demon, which unsettles him, to say the least. He later confronts a large statue of the same entity, silently acknowledging its presence. Very interesting bit of trivia about this location. At the time, the United States had no diplomatic relations with Iraq, and producers were actually worried that Friedkin and his crew might not be able to get out of the country and return to the U.S., but luckily they did. But what a scary thing to have to worry about when you're shooting a movie.
Well, exactly. They had to get a fully British crew, and also claimed that they would teach the local crew how to make movies. And they did follow up on that and made it a very local production with what they could. I thought that was so interesting, too, to choose a location right off the bat where you're not allowed as an American. I mean, hey, we're not really welcome there still, but I couldn't figure out why they made that choice until I read the book later. Like, it's a very important thing. All of we learned his name is Pazuzu, the demon. And there's a lot of interesting history with all of that. We don't get to learn too much about it in this movie, but you can look it up yourselves. It's very cultural.
Yeah.
I thought it was the best thing about this movie is it shows and it doesn't tell. You, as the audience, have to learn with the characters and also choose to make the research on your own time and rewatch the movie and find the little missing things that they just show you and don't talk about it, which I love. It's an important movie. It's a little hard to sit through, so I thought, gosh, the book's going to be a little similar in that mind. Not saying that it isn't an easy read, but it becomes more interesting when you know all of the facts.
Sure. And it's a book I have not read yet, but I think I want to. Just rewatching this movie again. I mean, I've seen it a lot. I haven't seen it for a while until this past week when I rewatched it for this episode, but made me really want to read the book. I think that
Read the book.
I will do that. So we now come back to the United States, Georgetown, Washington, D.C., and actress Chris McNeil is filming a movie directed by her friend Burke Dennings while living in this rented townhouse with her 12-year-old daughter, Reagan, played by Linda Blair. At the same time, Father Damien Karras, he's a Jesuit priest and a psychiatrist. He struggles now with a crisis of faith, and he's caring for his very ill mother, who they have moved into this rest home, this assisted living home, and she later dies. And believe it or not, that is
The opening kill.
and I gotta say, I mean, you don't even see it, so it's a butter knife kill for me.
It is a butter knife kill. However, it sets off the movie with,
Mm-hmm.
I think the crisis in faith is really important in this for his story. So
Mm-hmm.
it needed to happen, but it was really hard to watch, like him caring for his mom and losing. You can watch it happen of why believe in God when things like this. I think a lot of people struggle with that when they have loss in their life, let alone someone that's in the church. And it definitely
Well,
comes back for sure.
well, it does. And I lost my mom earlier this year or last year, I should say. And yeah, that was kind of triggering for me to see this scene because it was like, oh man, yeah. But it does really set up that scene, or set up his backstory and why his faith is starting to dwindle a little bit, which comes into play a little bit later in the film. So Chris hosts this party, who is attended by Father Joseph Dyer, who discusses Karras's work counseling other priests and mentions his mother's death. And up until this time, we've gotten to know Reagan a little bit better. She's this sweet 12-year-old. And what a great actress Linda Blair was and still is today. 12 years old, very, very believable. I know sometimes it's hard to get good young actors in film. I mean, there obviously there are a lot out there, but not always. And this definitely was one of those movies where she stands out. I mean, and yeah.
I mean, she's adorable. In the beginning, she's very nice. She's imaginative. She works with clay, building things. We see her make this transition. Like she's a well-adjusted kid following her mom around, and her mom have a great relationship, it seems.
Mm-hmm.
So when she starts to change her behavior, we notice it as the audience pretty quickly if you're paying
Right.
attention. This
Right.
movie requires
Exactly.
you to pay a lot of attention.
Oh yeah, totally. Totally. So she comes down the stairs at this party and she's standing there and they look up and they see her and she's in her nightgown. This is an evening party and she's just standing there. And all of a sudden she just starts urinating. And it's kind of uncomfortable to watch this because the group of party guests are all standing around a piano and they're talking and everything. And yeah, she's taken back to bed and her mother says, she hasn't been feeling well and please, I apologize, excuse me. And then weird stuff starts to take over here after a bit.
I mean, they hear noises in the attic. Everyone just kind of does that thing of, oh, it's just the wind. Oh, it's just an old house. And they're not
Right.
taking anything seriously. But then they take her to bed, and all of a sudden she's having a night terror, apparently,
Hmm.
is what they label it as. And the bed is shaking off the ground. Personally,
Yeah. With
I've
her
had a
on
night
it.
terror. That has never happened before in my life, of the entire
Right.
bed moving. No, thank you.
It's pretty crazy. And there's some behind the scenes footage on YouTube. You can Google or just do a search on YouTube for it. And you can see how they did some of these effects. And it's pretty interesting. And what was so telling for me was Linda Blair, when the camera wasn't rolling, just had this big grin on her face the whole time, just loving this work and doing this stuff. And the film was nominated for 10 Academy Awards, which was unheard of for a horror film to even get a nomination. And Linda Blair was nominated for Best Supporting Actress, and William Peter Blatty won for Best Adapted Screenplay. So, I mean, just everything about this movie was on such a scale, and the production values, the acting, the directing, everything about this. And of course, the iconic tubular bells that make up the soundtrack of this movie.
Oh, man.
I mean, as soon as you hear the first note, you know exactly what it's from.
The use of sound in this, the use of all practical effects. So of course I'm in love. everything they did was so right on the money. You just have to get over the fact that it's a little slow. That's the
It
only
is.
complaint most people have. It's an incredible movie. It's just a little
Right.
slow. But
Yep.
everything is there for a reason. The set
Yes.
design, the sound, the use of no sound, all done on purpose.
Right.
But yeah, we'll get into that more, of course.
Yes. So, Father Dyer, there's a scene where later he's comforting a guilt-ridden Karis over his mother's passing. He doesn't think that he did enough to help her, and then she passed away. So he's carrying around all of this guilt at the same time. He's losing his faith here a little bit. And all the while, Reagan's behavior worsens. She becomes more aggressive and more erratic. They do these medical tests, and these are excruciating to watch. And they're painful, physically painful for Reagan.
All of it is really well done in the sense of we watched her be completely normal to then every little thing gets worse and worse over time.
Mhm.
I think the greatest part is the use of makeup. Surprise! I'm going to talk
Here it
about some
comes.
makeup.
Let's do it.
The use of makeup in these scenes. For one, the amazing makeup artist went and did all of the studies, which is now a common practice that we all have to do in anatomy, in medical terminology, and going to the doctor of what that would look like. All of it is realistic. Yes, it's fake blood and fake needles, or using dummy arms to stick things in. But like the medical scenes actually make people more uncomfortable than some of the later stuff that's about to happen because
Oh,
it was
yeah.
very realistic. I personally have gone to the doctor a good amount I was trying to figure out what was wrong with me as a teenager. I was a little older, I was 14, going in and going, why am I different? What's wrong? What's going on? And they couldn't figure it out. No one, however, recommended exorcism. Thank God. Was not one of those
Right.
issues.
Right.
But they get to this point where they've done every single test on her and they
Mhm.
can't figure out what's wrong. But she has things like her skin is getting a little more pale, and you can see the veins on her hands, and you can see the bags getting bigger on a 12-year-old that's not normal, you guys. Not
No.
normal.
It's not.
To then
It's really
lesions
not.
on her face and scabs, but they're not dry, they're all like wet. And something's very wrong. And we know that not super early into the movie, but something
Right.
is going wrong.
Right.
And I do think they go through that awful phase that a lot of people happen of going to the doctor saying nothing's technically wrong with you, and you have no clue what to do next. And everyone gets to that point of like, then what do I do? And all of a sudden she gets a little bit better. Reagan kind of seems like, oh, I've improved, but it
Mhm.
was all a lie. And personally, I've done that to myself of, oh, everything's better for a minute. I must be fixed. Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
And you see the effect that this has on her mother, who just cannot get a straight answer as to what's going on with her child. And she's become so frustrated and angry and lashes out at everybody. And understandably so. You can't get an answer from a doctor. You see your child suffering like she is. And so there's a house call that happens, and Reagan now displays abnormal strength. She is cursing like a sailor. Her voice has gotten very deep and demonic. And so, yeah, it gets very scary. And, one of the men who shows up to look at her actually gets struck and she attacks. I mean, it's definitely, it's definitely pretty crazy behavior now. Burke Dennings, who is the director of the film that Chris, the mother, is making, is left alone with Reagan one night, and he is found dead at the bottom of a public stairway, which is right beneath Reagan's bedroom window, and his head is twisted backward. So there's a detective now that gets involved and investigates and concludes that Dennings was likely pushed from the window. It wasn't an accident, but they're trying to figure out how his head spun all the way around, because that wouldn't have happened or shouldn't have happened if it was an accident or something like that. So there was something else at
And it
work
couldn't
here.
be this little girl.
Of course
Obviously not.
No. No, no, no. Well, her behavior continues to get even more aggressive. She violently attacks herself with a crucifix, which is pretty horrible to watch.
Mm.
And one of the most famous scenes in all of horror, her head rotates unnaturally, and she's now speaking in Denning's voice. And they actually used an animated dummy a life-size animated dummy of Reagan to pull this effect off. But that effect definitely got people's attention, critics, audiences, everybody. Like, whoa,
It still
that's
scares
nuts.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
it is.
terrifying. She speaks in Latin, forwards and backwards. She knows
Mhm.
things about people. It's all becoming very clear that this is no longer in the hands of science. We have to turn to the church.
And, she's restrained in her bedroom and, convinced that she is possessed. Her mom now seeks out Father Karras. And during his visit, the demon claims to be not just a demon, but the devil himself. And now this child is speaking in tongues. You've got the vomit scene, which is also iconic and nasty as hell.
Iconic.
Oh,
It is.
man.
It's a controversy of who has the right recipe for
Mhm.
the split pea soup vomit, right?
Right.
I, as a child, grew up in California and went to Anderson's split pea, which is like the greatest split pea soup you've ever had in your life. I then watched this movie as a teenager.
Sure.
It does kind of it gives you the ick a little bit hearing specifically that they liked the texture of Anderson's more than like Campbell's or, anything
Well,
else. I now crave, however, Anderson's split pea soup after watching this again. I might need to
right.
do the 7-hour drive to get to the location.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I'll meet you
Well,
there, Brian. It's fine.
yeah, I was just going to say, I'll hop in the car now and meet you there.
It's for research.
Yeah, that's what it is. Well, the devil, says it's going to remain until Reagan dies. And when the words "help me" appear on Reagan's stomach, which is also like, whoa, Karras determines that the only way they're going to be able to save this girl is with an exorcism. That's the only thing they can do. So they have to get permission from the church to do the exorcism. Permission is granted, but only if an experienced priest leads it. And that's where they go back and bring Father Marin back into the fold with Karras assisting him in this.
Oh, and the great iconic scene, the front of all of the posters appears here with the lamppost onto the
Mhm.
house. And it is iconic for a reason. It is incredible.
Mhm.
And it's very funny that they chose him out of all the people. Crazy. And
Right.
he understands what's about to happen here. Funny enough, um the actor who plays Father Marin is
Mhm.
only 44 years old, and they aged him up to look 70. It was always an interesting choice
That is
to me
interesting.
of
Yeah.
why not if they want someone older, pick someone older. But this guy puts in the work here and goes through a lot. So
Yeah.
he does a great
Yeah.
job, as we all, pretty much all the cast should be revered for life on this performance.
Definitely. So Marin arrives. They begin the exorcism with Karras using the Roman ritual. And as you see in exorcisms in movies all the time, the demon mocks and attacks them verbally. Marin has a heart condition, unfortunately, and he becomes physically weak. He's taking nitroglycerin. The demon, he's playing dirty, later appears to Karras in the form of his mother. And as such, Marin dismisses Karras and says, "You can't do this. You're too emotionally close now. So I'm going to continue this alone." When Karras returns, he finds Marin has died of a heart attack while Reagan is still tied up in the bed, laughing. That is kill number 3. So Karras kind of goes nuts here and assaults the possessed Reagan and demands the demon take him instead. The demon transfers into Karras, freeing Regan. And to stop it, Karras throws himself out the window, tumbling down the stone stairs to his death. And yeah, it's crazy how this ends. And then Father Dyer arrives on the scene and administers Karras's last rites outside. So that would be kill 4. And that's really it. There's so much more in between the scenes, though, that, you know, we could spend probably 2 or 3 hours just going through and dissecting every little thing here. But there's a lot. So if you've not seen this movie, you need to go back and watch it, even read the book like I'm going to pick up even more. But it's just fascinating.
This is a great film study on the moment. I mean, we give this movie a lot of credit. Yes, it might have happened a little bit beforehand, or credit goes elsewhere, but The Exorcist is a pinpoint in time where it wasn't, you know, funny or outlandish. This was all rooted in fears that people have on the daily. The 1970s was a crazy time of, you know, we had war, we had politics getting in the way, we had the issues of, I think, crisis in faith,
Mm-hmm.
um, whether that was personal or the church themselves.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of things going on at the time. So this was a case study on the very specific moment when film wasn't like a monster movie or funny. This was serious horror. And
Mm-hmm.
it then led to elevated horror, or what we now like horror art cinema, that everyone has pulled something from The Exorcist. So if you love horror movies, you got to see this one. You got to sit through it. I know it's hard, but there are little moments like, oh my gosh, they have little snippets. I have this movie on VHS. I love watching this movie old school, but I did watch the Blu-ray as well because you get
Okay.
different and you can pause a little easier is the
Yeah,
best way to
things
put
are a
it.
little clearer in that. Yeah.
But I didn't realize watching this, I don't know how many times beforehand, but watching it this time, how many times they transposed moments of the demon's face
Mm-hmm.
throughout the film. You see it a few times, like Reagan's at the doctor and she all of a sudden like looks terrified up and you see a flash of this scary white face, jagged teeth, big red eyes. And if you watch it more, you'll notice the face pops up like 10 times before we even get to the big exorcist scene. And little
Mm-hmm.
things like that. Or if you can turn up the brightness on your, definitely not on the VHS, but on like the DVD or on our lovely newer TVs, turn up the
Right.
brightness. You see the statue that we see at the beginning of the movie
Mm-hmm.
is hiding in different places in the house.
Yeah.
Little things like that. There are always something, you learn something new every time and you find something and they don't talk about it. You just have to
Right.
look for it. And that's the best.
The final scene of the movie is actually pretty touching as Chris and Reagan, they're preparing to leave Georgetown. They don't want to stay there. Reagan has no memory of any of the events that happened. She kisses Father Dyer upon seeing his clerical collar. Chris then gives Dyer Karras's St. Joseph medallion, which she had found in Reagan's room. And Dyer pauses at the base of the steps where Karras died before walking away, and that's how it closes. The religious response to this film was not great. Friedkin was quoted as saying, one of the best things that could happen is if the Pope denounces it. I mean, you've got all of these scenes. You got the crucifix scene and all of these other involved material that, you know, to a Catholic is pretty sacrilegious. Yeah, a lot of priests, not only the Catholic Church, but individual priests, were pretty critical of it as well. But nonetheless, audiences didn't stop them from going to go see it. So, yeah.
And the marketing on this movie was fantastic and also a case study in itself. There were priests at the door ready to bless you as you walked in. And when you walked out, people fainted. And they were putting this in the newspaper and on TV to market the movie, and it worked. It still works
Yeah.
to this day when that happens. When the Conjuring movies came out, people felt like they were being followed home by entities and
Mhm.
had stories to tell, which is just, it's funny to me whether it was just all a really great stunt or real. It doesn't matter, honestly. It worked. So
Yeah, totally. So the final kill count was 4, including Father Karras at the very end. He was my favorite character, by the way. I thought he was a very well-written character, with his internal struggles and coming in at the end and summoning up the courage to take over um, that exorcism. So he was my favorite character.
I mean, it's hard to beat. He showed so much growth in such a short amount of time. We saw him at one of the hardest points in his life,
Mm-hmm.
of losing his mom and losing his faith, and overcoming that to save people and save humanity. Because who knows, this demon could have really rocked the world. And we see that
Oh
later
yeah.
on in other movies like The Omen, which didn't
Mm-hmm.
come out that much after this. Definitely
Right.
used the religious trauma and other aspects of this film. But I think we've seen it gone wrong. We've seen it gone right. This was one story where technically it went right. And it's all
Yeah.
because of him.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a good character. Of course, I'm gonna pick Linda Blair. It's my favorite,
Well,
and
of course.
not Reagan. No, Linda Blair
No, Linda
specifically.
Blair.
No, Reagan was gosh, the things that she had to deal with as a child making this movie.
Oh my goodness.
But then the character itself of being so innocent and having to deal with hardship, and then thank God she forgot everything. Honestly,
Well,
because
yeah,
that would mess you up.
but it sounds like Linda Blair was totally prepared to come into this movie and do what needed to be done. I mean, I mean, from the audition interviews to, what she's talked about since that movie, she was ready to go. No fear in this kid. So, and that's hard to find in somebody that young.
I know. I mean, Brian, you made movies with children before. They are hard to deal with. I
Can be.
remember being ripe old 15 and causing problems. So, having a 12-year-old on set, already difficult. It makes
Well,
you.
that's only because we shot on your birthday and you wanted to go have your cake and ice cream and didn't want to work anymore. So I get it.
That's not true. I just wanted to
Oh,
get it was the last scene, all right? I had to have a performance, and we did it like 6 times, okay?
yes,
It
we
was
did.
hard.
It was hard.
I
Yeah.
just wanted to
Okay.
do it right.
Maybe
So I'm
that's
one
what
of
really
those
happened.
kids. Yeah,
That could be.
maybe. 2 sides of every story.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't really have a favorite kill because, I mean, we really didn't see any of the kills happen. So I'm leaving that one blank for this week. They all worked and they were all integral to this film.
I think it's an interesting choice that we don't see many of the deaths, because that wasn't the focus. It wasn't
Mhm.
about the deaths. We didn't need to see super bloody bodies or, the heart attack. We didn't need to witness it. We knew what happened.
Right.
And it was a smart choice because that would have made
Mhm.
this runtime even longer and the gore even more, which would have gotten them even more flack for this film.
Interesting fact about this film too, when they're in the bedroom with Reagan, and this is kind of a common thing when you have ghosts, the room temperature drops drastically. And so William Friedkin really wanted that to happen. So they installed refrigeration units on the set and they kept it to 29 degrees. The problem is the lights, they were warming it up too much. So they could only shoot for about 3 or 4 minutes at a time before they had to stop and re-chill the room and keep going. So that must have been brutal too.
Oh man, I mean, we know temperature affects makeup as well. So it
Mhm.
being around the 29, 30 degrees that I also saw being reported, um, the makeup starts to crack when it's that cold. But
Yeah.
that worked in their favor. They wanted people to look like they had the cracked, dry lips, the little rosy cheek, paler skin, also due to the
Mhm.
lighting, but still, I couldn't imagine that's very legal nowadays to keep people at such a cold temperature. Hopefully, they
Some
were
rules
allowed
may have
to
yeah.
step out or something.
Yeah, I think some of the rules have probably changed a little bit since
But
1973.
the fact that they
Yeah.
used the temperature also for the makeup and for everyone to feel like they're a part of this, having it cold to see their breath instead of adding the effect in later, which was hard at that time in the first place.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can tell that they put so much care into this
Mhm.
on
Definitely.
purpose. Yeah.
Final girl score, I mean, I gotta give Reagan a 10. I mean, that poor kid, everything she endured and, she comes out of it. So, yeah.
Oh, obviously a 10. Duh.
Mhm. How screwed are we? No, I wouldn't make it. I would be possessed and I know. Nope, nope. I'm done.
In a heartbeat, yeah. I think I
Yeah.
would see a child do that and go, I'm gonna go.
Yeah.
Sorry. Good luck.
Good luck. Star grade, it's a 5 for me. It's one of the rare
5.
fives, but it's just, again, it is iconic and it really, really elevated, especially with its 10 Academy Award nominations, elevated that genre, I think, and kind of paved the way for future horror films.
Exactly. It fundamentally changed what horror movies were allowed to be. They didn't
Hmm.
have to be funny, gory. All the rules were kind of broken in a sense. This was serious, and it
Right.
it was psychologically brutal for
Hmm.
sure. Let
Hmm.
alone the runtime, and it feels 10 times longer because of how slow it is.
And yeah, it's already a 2-hour movie. So, it did feel longer, but it's just very well made for sure. Slasher survival tip. If the doctors are out of answers and the bed starts shaking, stop flipping through medical charts and call a priest immediately. And if that priest looks exhausted, doubting his faith, or clutching his heart medication, get him back up. Evil respects preparation, not optimism. There you go.
I love that. Not optimism. Yeah, I like it.
Right?
Well, I mean, it's very true. We've seen it in so many other movies
Hmm.
where it it definitely matters who you have doing the exorcism because it fails most of the time, and that's in real life. A lot of failed exorcisms are reported.
Hmm.
Um, there's very few successful ones.
Right.
So,
Right. Right.
and whether or not this was even successful, he threw himself out of the window, dude.
Hmm. Yeah, that's crazy. Ultimate sacrifice right there. So, yeah. So that is The Exorcist, directed by William Friedkin from 1973 on Opening Kill. Coming up next, I have your scare preview. But first, I want to say hello to our good friend Courtney from the Jaunty Haunts podcast. And Courtney had this secret for 30 years. Didn't tell a soul until just last year, or the year before, I should say. And that was that she can see ghosts. And she has an incredible podcast where she shares her stories of the supernatural. She's got incredible guests who come on and tell their stories as well. She has visited some haunted places and done full episodes on those as well. So if you are definitely into the supernatural, you need to check out Courtney and the Jaunty Haunts podcast, available wherever you get your favorite podcasts. Scare preview time. And as I mentioned at the top of the show, I, over the holiday year, was able to discover the Twisted Childhood universe. I watched Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, the first one that came out in 2023. I'm getting ready to watch number 2 coming up here this week. And my scare preview is a new one, the 5th movie in that universe. It's Pinocchio Unstrung, directed by Reese Frake Waterfield. Key cast includes Richard Brake as Geppetto, Adrian Burton, Kelly Ryan Sanson, and Freddy Krueger himself, Robert Englund as the voice of the Cricket. Right there, that's worth the price of admission. It's
Yeah,
a dark reimagining of Pinocchio. It's a very unsettling tale, as you can imagine, that explores the eerie nature of the iconic puppet, blurring the lines between reality and fantasy. No specific release date yet. That should be coming soon, but it is coming out this year. So can't wait. I will have seen the other movies before that, so I'll be all caught up in the series.
Well, there you go. I guess that's good. You have some
Yes.
time.
Yes, I have a
I
little
know.
bit of time, unless they decide, we're gonna drop it next week, and then I'm like, I
Uh-oh.
need to cram, but
They probably won't. It's fine.
I doubt it. Yeah,
It is interesting. The more things that become public domain, the more we're going to see. I know there's more episodes of early Mickey Mouse that's coming out. They've
Yep.
already done a few things on that. People have the scripts ready to go. It's just getting
They
them
do.
produced legally. But it's an interesting
Yeah.
time we live in. That's for sure.
So somebody was saying that this copyright law that puts everything into the public domain, this is exactly the bad side of it, depending on how you look at it, because somebody can take something like Winnie the Pooh or, Pinocchio and completely turn it around, and here you go, turn them into bloody serial killers. So I'm all for it. I enjoy these types of movies. I know there were a lot of people that didn't, but I actually enjoyed Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. So there you go.
Well, I'm excited. Just got word that Gremlins 3 is in production. Director Chris Columbus, he wrote the originals, and he is a writer on this one as well. They have an expected date of November 19th, 2027. So we
Okay.
still have a while to wait. But there's no news about it yet. It's, however, going to be a direct sequel to Gremlins 1 and 2, with
Okay.
some original people involved. So that's always a good sign.
Oh, I like that.
I was a huge fan of the original. The second one isn't my favorite, but maybe maybe it's like every other. Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen?
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah, I love it when they bring back some of the original folks that were, in those early movies. So that I'm looking forward to that. All right, so that will close things out for episode 49 of Opening Kill, The Exorcist. Next week, another exciting film, Barbarian from 2022. So thank you, Shay, for sitting in this week.
Of course, it was a pleasure. Go watch this movie if you haven't, and if you listen to us talk about it, that's a weird choice, but go watch it. Keep your eyes open. It's a good movie. Barbarian will also be very fun.
That will be. Subscribe to us on Instagram and also Facebook, and also subscribe to our YouTube channel for the video version of Opening Kill. You can email us at openingkillpod@gmail.com, or just DM us if you have any questions or you want to suggest a movie for us to feature. We will see you next week with Barbarian.
Opening Kill is produced by Mystic Cloud Productions and hosted by Brian O'Connor and Michael Duran. New episodes drop every Thursday wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. And don't forget, you can watch the video versions on YouTube. See you next time, if you survive the opening kill.